So my name is Jason Leaf. Working for the National Immigration Forum as a BBB mobilizer, Bibles, Badges, and Business immigration mobilizer. And I am here with Jordan and Nancy, both of whom live in Sioux Falls. And we're here to talk about a couple of different things, primarily to talk about the situation that's been going on at the pork plant and the coronavirus, but also at some point to maybe talk about the DACA decision. But I guess I'd ask you both to just introduce yourself and talk about kind of the work that you do, how long you've lived in Sioux Falls. So Nancy, we'll start with you.
Yes, hi, my name is Nancy Reynoza. I am with Gate Buses Sioux Falls. We founded Gate Buses Sioux Falls 2 years ago in order to communicate information to the Hispanic community. There's just no news media outlet in Sioux Falls. And so we just had it in our hearts to make sure that our community remained aware of everything that was going on that's important to our community. So we founded Get Buses Sioux Falls 2 years ago. And I also am a member of the South Dakota Dream Coalition that has a lot of things happening right now for the immigrant community, as well as we started a fund right now for the immigrant community.
Okay, great. And how long have you lived in Sioux Falls?
I have lived in Sioux Falls for over 24 years.
24 years. All right, great. Thank you. Jordan.
Yeah, my name is Jordan Bruxvoort. I serve as the director of the NIAMI Project. We're a nonprofit focused on workers and immigrants' rights. A lot of what we do is educate vulnerable workers about what their rights are regarding wage and hour, health and safety. We have a particular focus on identifying situations of human trafficking, labor trafficking, and we've been doing this work now for 2.5 years.
All right, great. And how long have you lived in Sioux Falls?
We've been out in Sioux Falls now for 3.5 years. When I was in college, I came out here in the summer because my family moved out here. So, and actually worked a couple of summers at Smithfield.
Okay. All right. Well, that's a great segue. Nancy, could you talk a little bit about the situation at the Smithfield plant and what has actually gone on there?
Yes, definitely. So now we have over 800 cases of COVID-19 linked with Smithfield plant, and it's very significant. People that think that, we knew COVID was coming, and we were all kind of prepared for it in some way or form, but never in this amount. It's just been a way that you could really see the amount of immigrants that have been suffering through this right now.
Yeah, and many of the people that work at this plant, and I think I had shared with you, I had heard it was 95%, and that could be, right or wrong. But it's a lot of people that work there are from the immigrant community and the refugee community. Is that correct?
Yes, a lot. Definitely a lot of people that work there. The majority are immigrants.
And what do you think contributed to this? I mean, there's no other way to kind of talk about it, but it's really a crisis. What were some of the factors that played into the fact that the virus spread so quickly here at this plant?
So I think that the biggest factor that led for this to happen was no preparation from the government to begin with for any of employees that are considered essential. So even sometime in February, the government could have stated, we need to keep these factories open. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to make sure that we talk to all of the companies and see what they are going to put in place to protect these employees. So, I mean, for me, that starts from the government. And then the company also knew this was coming and it didn't do anything to make sure that the employees were protected. So that's who I blame in this.
Okay. And Jordan, from your experience, because you work, your organization works with immigrants and refugees kind of seeking fair wages and justice issues. From your perspective, what were some of the issues at work?
Well, the workers that we've spoken with did not feel like the measures that the company touts were sufficient to address the reality. And the results of those measures and the significant number of cases speak to their fears to invalidate their concerns.
And maybe Nancy, I can come back to you with this question. So I read in the Argus Leader a story about one of the first people to die from the coronavirus from the plant. And it seemed like there were bonuses being offered to people who would finish their shift. At least I think that was in that story. And how does that play into this? How does the vulnerability of the immigrant community and maybe even some of their financial needs kind of play into how this crisis developed?
Correct. So Smithfield calls it a bonus for employees.
Responsibility bonus.
Mm-hmm. A responsibility bonus. That's what Smithfield called it. But a lot of people that are immigrants, that are refugees, they come from hard times. So whenever you say to somebody, some of these people have worked in the most difficult conditions. For them, working at Smithfield in different scenarios is nothing. So they're pretty much used to working in any type of condition. And if you give them a bonus for a $500 to come to work sick, they're going to take it as, I'm going to come to work sick because I can do it. I can do it. And plus they're giving us the money. So we're going to go ahead and take advantage of it for our family. Okay.
And is the plant shut down right now?
It's supposed to be shut down. I don't think it actually has ever shut down 100%. I know that there's measures that they have to take in order to shut down. So there were some employees still working throughout the whole week. They have been continued to work. I don't know to what extent. I don't know if they're just cleaning, but there have been some people called in to work.
Okay. And Nancy, if you could talk a little bit, and then Jordan, we'll come to you as well. What do you see as the impact on the immigrant community from this situation?
Well, the impact on the immigrant community has been, they're scared. When we first started to get the calls before we did the solidarity protest, we started to get the phone calls that they were scared. They didn't want to go to work, but they had to because they couldn't afford not to or afford to lose their jobs, and they were scared. And now that this has blown up, and it's everywhere, they just feel like, well, what are we going to do now? Now they're afraid also that the Smithfield company won't open up and they won't have a job. It's a lot of mixed feelings that we get from different people. Some of them are very scared. Some of them are saying, hey, even if they open up, they have to be careful. People have to make sure that they're taking precautions because that company, they're saying, is not going to protect you. And this is what we get from people that work there.
Okay. And really quick, before I go to Jordan, is Smithfield paying the employees during this time when it's been shut down? Are they kind of guaranteeing jobs for people in the future?
So they did just send out a statement that they were going to pay employees 2 weeks paid during the closure.
Okay. All right. And Jordan, from your perspective, what has been the impact on the immigrant community?
Yeah, I've been in touch with a Hispanic church that I've been a part of, and last week Tuesday, I gave the pastor a call and I said, "Hey, pastor, how are you doing?" And he said, "Sad." I said, "Why are you sad?" He said, "Augustine died." His congregation has been significantly impacted. They have some 10 positive cases, and it's a huge burden for a community that has already faced so much. And the pastor is doing his best to respond to the needs of his congregation, as so many people are now out of work, and as Nancy said, uncertain about what the future holds.
Yeah. And how do you see, Jordan, how do you see the Christian community in the churches in the Sioux Falls area? Are they coming around some of these churches, and are they helping in ways that they can?
Yeah, there have been initiatives to create a rental assistance fund for people in general who've been affected by COVID-19, and then food pantries So those have been significant, and there's I think more opportunity to join in solidarity with these communities and walk with them through this very difficult season where tough choices have to be made in terms of to continue, if so, under what terms, and how could we negotiate a better deal?
Yeah. Well, speaking of solidarity, so Nancy, could you talk a little bit about the protest that you helped organize?
Yeah, so we organized a solidarity protest along with other South Dakota Coalition members. And the protest was in solidarity to stand by Smithfield employees, because they were the ones calling each and every single one of us and to our different organizations and telling us stories of them being let into work sick, them being not having enough protection during work, and they were just feeling scared. And we had already at that time, I think, about 80 cases, and it was just too much to ignore. So we got together and we did the solidarity protest, and to stand next to Smithfield workers and said, we're here with you. We hear your stories, and we're going to be a voice for you.
Yeah. And what has been the response to that protest?
The response to that from the community has been thankful. They said, thank you for being our voice. We can't speak up because we will lose our job, but we thank you guys for doing this for us, because we really needed it. That plant needed to shut down, and we needed to get home safe, and they needed to start working on measures to protect us if we went back to work. So they're really appreciative of it.
What about the broader Sioux Falls community? Any response from the broader community, the city?
No, I have not heard anything. More than anything, the mayor was very distraught, saying that he was very upset that the company had to be shut down. Mm-hmm. And obviously we all are. All are. None of us wanted this company to be closed down. This could have been avoided if they would have taken measures ahead of time. So nobody is happy that this happened, but we are happy that employees are at least home, and that this company is now taking measures to protect them. That's what we're happy about. Okay. But people around us did not seem that, they were that happy that this happened.
Yeah. Jordan, did you want to speak at all about the protest?
Yeah, well, I thought, given the challenges of social distancing, the concept that Nancy came up with of a caravan with signs on was brilliant. And it was really wonderful to see so many members of the immigrant community coming out and joining with family members that they have in the plant, or friends, or I think they're we're also interconnected, and it was a significant moment that I think helped move the mayor to the next day. He hosted a press conference in which he issued a joint letter together with the governor calling on the plant to close for at least 14 days. I think without the attention that the protest focused on, what was happening, that might not have happened.
Yeah. So Nancy, as we think more broadly, how can we make people aware of the issues that the immigrant community is having to deal with kind of during this pandemic? I mean, everybody's life has been disrupted by this pandemic, but in many ways it affects the immigrant community maybe in different ways. How can we best kind of help people understand the experience of the immigrant community during this pandemic?
Definitely. So the biggest way to understand how the immigrant community is affected by it is that, they're hard workers. They're willing to work as hard as they can to put the food on the table of American families. Like I said, they've always been used to work hard, and this is nothing new. We need to be the voice for them. We need to protect them. We need to make sure that people understand that these people have a big heart, and they are willing to work for you regardless of putting their life in danger.
Mm.
So if we put that into perspective, we need to be more thankful of the work that these people are doing for us.
Okay, Jordan, could you speak to that as well?
Yeah, I think we also need to think more about, if we're going to call these people essential workers and send them to work, what needs to be done so that they can do that work safely.
Yeah.
I've been talking with workers who, you know, in their line of work, they're also seeing COVID cases, and they don't feel protected.
Yeah.
And so it's part of a broader conversation to take necessary steps so that these workers' voices can come forward, and that these people be taken into consideration.
Yeah, it's interesting. As we think about DACA, for example, I don't remember the percentage or the number, but there's a high number of DACA recipients who are people on the front lines as home health workers and nurses and things like that, who are considered to be essential workers and really kind of putting their own health at risk, which maybe allows us to kind of pivot to DACA here just a second, because, you know, as you both know, the Supreme Court will be making a decision soon as to whether to uphold the Trump administration's, desire to shut the DACA program down. And so, Nancy, maybe I'll start with you. As you think about this upcoming decision, what do you see as the best scenario to play out for the immigrant community?
The best scenario with this would be to make sure that every DACA recipient that they continue to have this, because it's needed. Like you said, most of the DACA recipients are workers that are considered essential workers. If we did not have them, what's going to happen?
And maybe Jordan, same question. What do you see as the best case scenario here as this decision is going to get made?
Yeah, I think it's an opportunity to think about, you know, who are the vulnerable among us, and how can we as a church stand with these people. And it's my hope that we as a church recognize this as a moment where we're supposed to step up.
And how do we, and maybe I'll start with you, Jordan. I mean, right now we are such a divided country and such a divided kind of culture. And immigration tends to be, you know, again, right today in the news, immigration seems to be this issue that keeps being brought up and being used in a divisive way. How do you see, or what steps can we take to bring people together on issues like DACA or issues like the workers at the Smithfield plant? How would you respond to that?
I would say that there's such an opportunity to join in personal, in worship, and to build personal relationships. So many of these people who are immigrants are our fellow Christians, and in taking the time to go to a worship service, particularly like one at Nancy's church, where you're going to be there for at least 2 hours, probably be food afterwards. You're gonna leave without fear of these people, for one thing, and deeply moved by their love for God and their concern for their family.
Okay, Nancy, same question. How do you think we as a culture, as a nation, as a country, how can we get over the tension on this issue?
I think really the number one thing is acceptance. If we could just accept each other for who we are and for our differences, I think that would really make a big difference, because like Jordan said, we are all here in this together. COVID-19 affects everybody, doesn't matter where you're from. Yeah. We can accept each other and just take care of each other. That would be a big impact.
Okay. Well, thank you for being willing to be here and to have this conversation. I want to give you an opportunity to maybe throw out a website, or, you said that there's a fund that is kind of being put up. So I don't know if you have any information. I know I'm putting you on the spot, but if you have any information that you could just kind of quickly share that people could go to.
Yes, definitely. So my organization, Que Pasa Sioux Falls, is a media nonprofit 501c3 organization, and we support our Hispanic community by providing them all the information that comes out in Spanish to them. And in together with the South Dakota Dream Coalition, we have joined them, and we have started a fund for immigrant and refugee families. People that don't have a social security number can apply for this fund if they need assistance for housing, for food, for bill payments, anything like that. We have that fund, and we encourage everybody to donate to this, and that can be found in the South Dakota Dream Coalition Facebook page, and I can send you the links as well.
Okay, great. And Jordan, maybe talk a little bit about the Naomi Project.
Yeah, so we're a worker center, which is a model being used across the country to equip the people most likely to be the victims of workplace injustice with understanding of what their rights are and how to exercise those rights. And never has there been such an important time for people who are on the front lines, who are, cleaning clinics where people are being treated with COVID, or, are cultivating our nation's food supply, to do so and to be respected for the work that they're doing, and to be able to do that in a way that's safe and regards them as it respects their humanity. And so our Facebook page is Proyecto Noemi. That's Naomi Project in Spanish. I'm not as, I think Nancy is putting up her information. Maybe I'll, not really sure how to do that. But you can look up Naomi Project Sioux Falls on Facebook. It'll probably come up, and would love to keep in touch. We're doing a lot of videos now around how workers can communicate with OSHA if they're not receiving the necessary personal protection equipment, or not receiving protocols on how to do their work in a way that protects them.
Perfect. Let's see here. There we go. I got him up.
Nancy's just showing off.
Yeah.
We should put up our Facebook page.
Yep. Got him up there. So thank you both so much for being part of this conversation. I wish you blessings on the important work that you're doing, especially at this difficult time for the people of Sioux Falls. So thank you very much.
Thank you. We appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks so much for having us, Jason.